Hello once again, everybody. I'm Steve Goldstein. We welcome you to Game Changers. The big paw belongs to Kim Bokamper. The Miami Heat, what a win in Game 1 in Boston. They win on the road again. 46 points in the third quarter of a playoff game. That's a franchise record. Jimmy Butler, hey, he's been the best player in the playoffs. The Heat supporting cast does the job. We are in the studio. Steve Goldstein, Kim Bokamper, Samantha Rivera joining us from Boston. And Samantha, first off, before we get to the hoops, take us inside the atmosphere through the television set in Game 1. It seemed like that place was absolutely wild. What was the experience like for you covering Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final in Boston?
Oh my gosh, you guys, it was wild, right? I think I knew Celtics fans were going to come in here, you know, rowdy and loud, but they really brought it, right? It really felt like the arena was shaking, and it was just so funny to me how, you know, you expect the home team announcer to be excited, you know, calling their home team players' names, but then when you heard him call out Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Max, it was like the most flat I have ever heard somebody say these guys' names. It was great, but, you know, like you guys mentioned, Jimmy Butler had a huge night. You know, he had 35 points, 6 steals, and then Bam coming right behind him with 24 different guys with 15 points each. It's really been amazing to see just how, you know, incredible this depth of the roster is and just how balanced everything is.
I think what we saw last night was maybe a game plan for the rest of this series. If you can get Jimmy scoring, if you get Bam scoring 20 plus points, and then get that roster, get the rest of the guys that have balanced scoring throughout, I think you got a good opportunity. Now, let me ask you this question. You talked about the fans during the game. What was it like when they knew they were losing the game, walking out of the stadium? I bet they weren't very loud back then. Nothing better to see on the road, by the way.
You know, they kept, you know, they were saying some things under their breath that I don't think I can repeat, but no, it was pretty funny. I saw a lot of them pretty sad, and I was just like, well, you know, there's Game 2, so.
You know, this team, Samantha, you've been watching them at a lot of these games throughout. That confidence level, even after the game, when you're covering it, that confidence level right now is through the roof. It seems like they genuinely believe that they can beat anybody right now.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I asked Max Strus today, you know, you guys came in with so much confidence last night. Does the confidence grow from here? And he's like, well, you know, we're still confident. You know, they've been confident this whole time. At the same time, though, you know, a lot of them were saying how, you know, they're not going to let themselves get cocky from here, right? They know it's not done from here. They're not even going to let themselves celebrate yet, right? They know they have more work to do, and they want to leave Boston with 2 wins. So they're confident, but not overly confident.
You know, going into that game, I was nervous about the Celtics. I think they've been the best basketball team.
Still am a little bit nervous.
I'm still a little bit nervous. But watching this, you know what I saw? I saw Eric Spoelstra coach his team and do a good job getting them in position, do the things they needed to do. And then on the other side, how come they were not getting Tatum the ball? How come he's not shooting more of it? How come they're spreading around to other people when their big guy is not in part of the game? So to me, you can put this one up. Eric Spoelstra 1, Boston Celtics 0 when it comes to coaching on this one.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Eric's experience, right, being in these positions has and will continue to play a huge role. And a little side note, I think this year is a little personal to me as well, because yesterday I got hit by the ball 4 times during my loft shots. One of those times I was told was by Joe Mazzulla, so you know, I'm gonna be on Eric's side here.
Well, he's a rookie head coach. You're a seasoned pro broadcaster, so that's a whole different. You got the advantage there, Samantha. Hey, how about the supporting cast on this team? We talk so much about Jimmy Butler, and you mentioned some of the other guys, but and Jimmy is the guy. But these guys in behind, Kyle Lowry last night, he couldn't miss a shot. We'll get back to Samantha in just a little while there in Boston. But Kyle Lowry's just draining threes in that first half, and you know, they fall behind by 14 or 13, and it's like, okay, we got a problem. Now they come out at halftime and just blow the doors off.
I thought that was unbelievable. Coming out of the third quarter really was a big difference. The Heat got the momentum all on their side, and I think that gave them the belief. Hey, we can beat these guys. You know, they had, it was tight early on. Then they got down big. fought back and then took a lead and just held on to it. I think that for them is one of those games you look at, hey, we do that every night. If we play that way every night, we can get done with this series. May not do it in 4 games, but I think we can beat this team 4 times in the course of a 7-game series. If they play that way, they got to play consistently, hard on offense, hard on defense, and I like the Heat playing in a system where you're running plays, you're throwing plays, you want to get the ball to your best players and let them score, rather than what the Celtics are doing is just free flow the game, and if the ball gets to you, then make your plays.
We talked a lot about this game, Samantha. One more for you on Game 1. The offense for Jimmy Butler, amazing, but how about the defense? I mean, no Heat player had ever had 35 points and 6 steals in a playoff game. What did you see from Butler last night defensively?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it was huge, right? And then the energy that gives his group, I mean, it's amazing. And we talked to a lot of the guys today, who mentioned, with 6 steals, you give them a lot of opportunities to do exactly what they want. And then I want to quickly mention, you guys talked about Kyle Lowry, a veteran where, he's played with other guys like Kawhi Leonard too. You might expect him to have a little bit of an ego, right? But even as a veteran, he knows he's got to, he doesn't mind stepping back and letting guys like Jimmy and Bam do their thing. As long as it allows them to win, he'll do whatever it takes for them to get that done.
We'll chat with you in a little while, Samantha. Thanks very much. But more coming up on Game Changers. The Panthers are also in the Eastern Conference Final for the first time since 1996. One of that team's heroes, Bill Lindsay, the blonde bomber, will join us next on Game Changers. We are back on this conference final edition of Game Changers. The Heat and the Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cats taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, and joining us now, longtime Panther, both player and a voice of the Panthers, Bill Lindsay, looking sharp.
Look at that.
You're looking perfect for Game Changers.
He looks the same way as he did, what was that, 25 years ago?
How
long ago was that,
Oh,
Billy?
Kim, I wish that was the case.
I think he could still give like 8 or 10 minutes on the 4th line, even these days.
I think he's got 4 minutes, and then that hamstring is going to get real tight, real quick.
Boom.
Hey, Billy, so 96, it's the first time they're in the conference finals since then. You were such a big part of that team. You know what happens on a team in the NHL and on this Panther team and on your team back then when it just all comes together the way it is right now, the way you guys did?
Yeah, I heard your Heat statement. You can draw a lot of parallels with what's happening. You have to become a group. You have to become a team. A lot of teams out there with a lot of talent are not playing at this very moment. In this Panther group, when you get to this point, what really separates you, what becomes when good teams become great and accomplish these type of things, is that everyone is working so hard as an individual that you are so deathly afraid to let your teammate down. You're not afraid about yourself and the way you play, but you know that that guy is battling so hard next to you that if I don't battle that same sort of way, I'm going to go home at night. I'm not going to feel bad about myself. I'm just going to feel like I let my team down. And that's what this Panther group and the similarities that you can draw to 96, that you can tell in that dressing room that they've come together and they believe in themselves. And once you get to this point and that you got that belief, at this time of the year, it comes right down into here, this heart. You got to have some heart and have some guts. And this team just barely creeping into the playoffs and just have been like a little snowball, getting better and better and better and just elevating their play. And you can tell the excitement that this group is having.
Billy, how does a team do that? They have a choppy regular season, an unexpectedly choppy regular season, barely get into the postseason, then all of a sudden they just begin to dominate and become a team that is so close together that it seems like they can go whatever challenge is next, they're just going to get together and they're going to plow through it, much like you guys did. But you guys had your season one wasn't quite what they had to get in. This is quite abnormal to what they did during the regular season. How did they get to this spot at this time?
And Kim, if you have to go back to the first half of the year, you don't want to make excuses, but they just couldn't get the whole lineup together. Yeah. Sam Bennett was out, Barkov was out, and then around Christmas time, the flu bug went through the team. With the changes with Palmer and Reese, Kachuk, just could never kind of find their footing And there was a couple of key games during the course of the regular season. One of the biggest was right before the All-Star break. It was against Boston. You tied the game with 1 second on the clock. You beat Boston in overtime. You come out of that All-Star break, and if you look at the records the rest of the way, the Panthers are on par with, outside of Boston, the other top teams in the NHL. They got healthy as a team. Everyone seemed to get going. Paul Maurice, the identity that he wanted, heavy forechecking, hang on to the puck, playoff style during the regular season. He had to get in the playoffs to make that happen. Didn't seem, but you could see in that, after that All-Star break, that they were trending in the right direction. The only question to be answered, was it enough to get into the playoffs? And that's why the upset of Boston to me is not so staggering, because they were playing as good a hockey as anyone going into the playoffs. So just healthy as a group, healthy as a team, trending in the right direction. And then this Paul Maurice and this system that they play, they are so tough through the neutral zone with their sticks, and they're led by players like Tkachuk. You can't say enough about him. He's a game changer, and he is brought in for this exact reason, playoff hockey. But you got players like him and Sam Bennett. You see another jersey on the other side with a different color, they automatically dislike you a lot. And because of that, they've been able to set the way and lead the tempo.
You talk about Paul Maurice a little bit, and there was a little dust up early in the postseason. And so, all these guys fundamentally are sound. Emotion plays into these types of games, into these situations when you get into the postseason. What has Paul Maurice done within that group to allow them to believe that they can win these games?
Paul Maurice is enjoying coaching. Yep. He's got a couple of sons down here in the South Florida area. He's been around for so long. I'm not sure if you paid attention to a couple of his bench interviews that they do during the course of the game. He's smiling. He's relaxed. Out of all the coaches out there, I mean, Jackie Redmond asked him a question and said, am I crazy here, Paul? And he said, not certifiably. He's loose. But he's able to I firmly believe that he's having the most fun that he's ever had coaching a group. And there's a relaxed calm about him. When the game's on, there's an intensity that he wants everyone. But he wants to make sure when you're going through this process, this is what you dream of. So just live up and enjoy every moment, every day, and just stay present. Here we are, we got today. Let's have as much fun and work as hard as we can today. We'll worry about tomorrow when it happens. Whatever's in the past, we'll try and learn from that. But just stay focused. And for Paul Maurice and this group, to me, at this time of the year, you want to be having fun, and it looks like this Panther team is having a heck of a lot of fun.
And we're having a lot of fun watching it. Billy Lindsay, Panthers legend, a little bit of company now. Carter Verhaeghe's got some big goals, so that'll go right with your goal in '96 against the Boston Bruins. Billy, you enjoy the ride, man. You're a Panther through and through. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, my stuff was eons ago. We need new stuff. Carter Verhaeghe, Nick Cousins, bigger goals, bigger times. If we ever hold that trophy, I'm going to be in tears, boys. I'm going to be in puddles. That's all.
I love it. I love it.
I can't let myself think that far ahead. Right. Enjoy the game tonight. It's going to be awesome.
All right.
Enjoy, Billy. We appreciate it. Thanks very much. Bill Lindsay joining us coming up next on Game Changers. Both the Panthers and Heat players been showing a lot of love to each other during this playoff run. That's next. Back on Game Changers, as fans, we're loving watching the Panthers and Heat, but you know what? The players on each team are loving the other side as well, their hockey and basketball counterparts. Steve Goldstein, Kim Beaucamper here in the studio. Samantha Rivera joins us again here on the Game Changers from Boston. And Samantha, there's been a lot of love. All the Panthers got on the plane earlier in the week to go to Carolina. They're all wearing Heat shirts. The Heat players, Udonis Haslem was at a Panther game in an Anthony Duclair jersey. This has been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of love here in South Florida.
Just a really, really fun time, obviously, in South Florida. And then to see these two teams come together and just support each other. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, right? They're having fun with it. They love to see each other win. So I think when you see both sides just kind of being like, yeah, but it kind of reminds me of when my girlfriends and I like cheer each other on, or when we hype each other up. It's like the same thing, they're having fun with it. So you love to see it.
Yeah, and this was yesterday, or on Wednesday, actually. The Panther fans, before they left to go to Carolina, a little rally, so the guys are driving the nice cars out of the arena. The fans are out there, Bo. Hey, South Florida, we've been dying for runs like this, haven't we?
Hey, you got Mike McDaniel. He's going to the Panther games. Right. He's at the Heat games. I'm surprised he didn't fly up to Boston. He's become such a Heat fan there. But, you got all the players kind of look. I think that's a nice thing about with having two teams there and another team kind of waiting on the doorstep, hoping they can have a season like these two teams have had, talking about the Miami Dolphins, and have those players see just what happens in this town when you get to that level, when you get to a championship level, whether it's a conference championship or get into a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup or an NBA Finals. You see how this community reacts. And so I hope the Dolphins are paying attention and say, hey, look, we want to get in some of this fun. We want to have those guys at our games in December when we're making hay, and watch us get in the playoffs and go in. So I think this is setting up the stage, and I think everybody can join into it, and everyone can enjoy it.
We will come back here on Game Changers. Up next, Trending Roulette. Stay with us. Back on Game Changers, as fans, we're loving watching the Panthers and Heat, but you know what? The players on each team are loving the other side as well, their hockey and basketball counterparts. Steve Goldstein, Kim Beaucamper here in the studio. Samantha Rivera joins us again here on the Game Changers from Boston. And Samantha, there's been a lot of love. All the Panthers got on the plane earlier in the week to go to Carolina. They're all wearing Heat shirts. The Heat players, Udonis Haslem was at a Panther game in an Anthony Duclair jersey. This has been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of love here in South Florida.
Just a really, really fun time, obviously, in South Florida. And then to see these two teams come together and just support each other. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, right? They're having fun with it. They love to see each other win. So I think when you see both sides just kind of being like, yeah, but it kind of reminds me of when my girlfriends and I like cheer each other on, or when we hype each other up. It's like the same thing, they're having fun with it. So you love to see it.
Yeah, and this was yesterday, or on Wednesday, actually. The Panther fans, before they left to go to Carolina, a little rally, so the guys are driving the nice cars out of the arena. The fans are out there, Bo. Hey, South Florida, we've been dying for runs like this, haven't we?
Hey, you got Mike McDaniel. He's going to the Panther games. Right. He's at the Heat games. I'm surprised he didn't fly up to Boston. He's become such a Heat fan there. But you got all the players kind of look. I think that's a nice thing about with having two teams there and another team kind of waiting on the doorstep, hoping they can have a season like these two teams have had, talking about the Miami Dolphins, and have those players see just what happens in this town when you get to that level, when you get to a championship level, whether it's a conference championship or get into a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup or an NBA Finals. You see how this community reacts. And so I hope the Dolphins are paying attention and say, hey, look, we want to get in some of this fun. We want to have those guys at our games in December when we're making hay, and watch us get in the playoffs and go in. So I think this is setting up the stage, and I think everybody can join into it, and everyone can enjoy it.
We will come back here on Game Changers. Up next, Trending Roulette. Stay with us. Time to play trending roulette. A lot going on right now. Jimmy Butler is trending. Heat culture. Hashtag Florida Panthers. But I got one we could talk about. A forgotten team, maybe. How about, Bo, the Miami Marlins? Ooh. They keep on winning. A couple over 500. Brian De La Cruz with his big hitting streak. Let's not forget about the Fish.
Look, they got 2 World Series trophies that they can show off to everybody. It's been a while, but they've got them. But it's nice to see this team in the mix now. They're you were used to see them in last place. I think they're 2 games over 500 as we speak, and they lost Jazz Chisholm for a while, but he's a guy that brings a lot of energy. I just like that baseball team is competitive, and you've got an opportunity to watch them. Look, I've kind of put them on the shelf for a long time, but I'm even poking up and turning up and watching them a little bit on Bally Sports when they come on.
Yeah, Samantha, when this hopefully hockey and basketball thing goes at least another month this summer, before Dolphins training camp and into Dolphins season, we may have to be watching a little bit of baseball with these guys.
Yeah, honestly, you guys, I feel bad because it kind of reminds me of like the middle child, right? It's like, hey, I came home with an A on my report, or I got a job promotion. That's fine, Jack. Well, we've got other things to worry about right now. But no, it's been really fun to watch them, right? Obviously, they've got a long season, and so it's been good to kind of see them, doing their thing. And I think probably watching the Panthers in the Heat has kind of been like, something for them to see and be like, hey, we kind of need to step up our game too. So it's been fun to watch.
It is. They're playing good baseball. All right, Samantha, enjoy Boston. Go get some chowder, whatever you're going to do, and we'll see you back here in South Florida when the series shifts. That'll do it for this edition of Game Changers. For Kim Bocamper, Samantha Rivera, I'm Steve Goldstein, our entire crew. Thanks so much for watching. Heat and Panthers, keep it rolling, fellas.